Well, let's learn a little bit about Imaginos, the 11th studio album by American rock band Blue Oyster Cult. It was released in 1988 and was their last recording with their original record label, CBS/Columbia Records. Wow, okay, so they moved on to a new studio after this, I guess. The album took nearly 8 years to complete and was originally intended to be the first in a trilogy of solo albums by Blue Oyster Cult member, drummer and songwriter Albert Bouchard. Okay, gotcha, dude. All right, shout out to Albert. So this was intended to be the first of a solo album, first of a trilogy. Gotcha, okay. Bouchard was fired in August 1981, and CBS rejected the album in 1984, but a reworked version was eventually published as a product of the band. Many guest musicians contributed to the project over this 8-year span, including Joe Satriani, Aldo Nova, and Doors guitarist Robbie Krieger. Okay, let's take a step back real quick. What do you mean Albert Bouchard was fired, dude? What do you mean, dude? Anybody have any extra info? In 1981, Bouchard left Blue Oyster Cult and began to work on an intended solo album that would become the album Imaginos, released under the Blue Oyster Cult name. So he left the band, but then he came back, dude. So I'm guessing left under in a good situation, dude. Not burning any bridges, dude. Drugs made him drive the other guys crazy. Oh, okay. So he was actually fired. He didn't just leave, dude. Wow. So then they were able to use his material to make an album, dude. Did he see a cut in that? Let's read on, guys. Thus, Imaginos is often considered more of a project of producer and lyricist Sandy Pearlman than as a true album of the band. That's right. So, going back, I missed a sentence, dude. Many guest musicians contributed to the project over this 8-year span, including Joe Satriani, Aldo Nova, the Doors guitarist Robbie Krieger, but some band members were barely involved in the recording process. Thus, Imaginos is often considered more as a project of producer and lyricist Sandy Pearlman than as a true album of the band. All right, dude, Pearlman. We've seen his name a few times, dude, but what? This is turning crazy, dude. What do you mean? This is more of a Pearlman production, dude. Imaginos weaves scripts and poems by Pearlman, dating from the second half of the 1960s, into a concept album and rock opera about an alien conspiracy that is brought to fruition during the late 19th and early 20th century through the actions of Imaginos, an agent of evil. Okay, so that's where we get the name Imaginos, dude. Imaginos is an agent of evil. And this whole story is about an alien conspiracy, dude. It's a rock opera concept album, dude. I really like concept albums in general, where stories flow from one song to the next, where the song describes the story in sound form, dude. Rush, big proponents of this type of storytelling, dude. The tale combines elements of Gothic literature and science fiction, and is strongly inspired by the work of H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, big fan of eldritch horror, dude. Wow. So, must have been coke and lewds. Probably right. The weed don't hurt nobody. Toshiba damn aliens. All right. Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft, dude, subtitled A Bedtime Story for the Children of the Damned. It has an intricate storyline whose often obscure lyrics contain many historical references, prompting speculation by fans and critics. It is often considered one of the heaviest albums released by Blue Oyster Cult. Its music more akin to heavy metal than the melodic and commercial hard rock of their previous two works. The The poor sales of those albums resulted in record label pressure on the band that led to their disbandment in 1986. A subsequent comeback featured only 3 members of the classic lineup. Gotcha. Okay, so everybody seemed to love this album, but it was not a commercial success. Albert Bouchard, excluded from the recording progress of Imaginos after the initial rejection from Columbia Records, then took legal action against the band and the label to protect his rights as author and producer on the album. Wow, okay, so we're getting more of the info here, dude. Albert was not happy. He was like, you guys suck. You're using my stuff without my permission. I got rights, dude. As an author and producer, Blue Oyster Cult continued to perform and remained a live attraction, but 10 years passed before they released an album of new songs. Whoa. Wow. Really? Into 1998? What about Bad Channels, dude? Oh, that's a motion picture soundtrack? What the heck is that? Oh, wow, dudes. Wow. Interesting. Okay, so anything else you guys got to say about this dude? So Don't Fear the Reaper put pressure on the band because the label expected them to repeat these successes, dude. Yep, that's capitalism for you. Despite good sales of the album Fire of Unknown Origin and the single Burnin' For You in August 1981, the conflicts and the stress accumulated in more than 10 years of cohabitation led to the firing of drummer Albert Bouchard, a founding member and an important contributor to the songwriting and sound of the group, allegedly for unstable behavior. The relationship between the former bandmates remained tense in the following years. Old feuds resurfaced during a short reunion tour with the original lineup in 1985, with the result that no one in the band accepted Albert Bouchard back in the Blue Oyster Cult. Albert Bouchard still hoped to be reinstated in the band through his work done for Imaginos. Albert Bouchard's departure started a rotation of personnel in the formerly stable band roster, which by 1986 left only Eric Bloom and Buck Dharma as original members. Alan Lanier left in 1985 during the recording sessions for Club Ninja, unsatisfied by the music and annoyed at the presence of Tommy Zvanček as his replacement. While Joe Bouchard quit soon after that album's release to pursue different career opportunities, play other musical genres, and settle in his family life. The release of 2 expensive studio albums in 1983 and 85, which received generally bad critical response and sold poorly, ruined the relationship with their demanding record label and left the band with little support and very few ideas on how to go on with their careers. As a result, in the summer of 1986, the band semi-officially broke up. Bloom explained in an interview to the British music magazine Kerrang in 1988 that the final lineup The final lineup of 1986 included Bloom, Buck Dharma, Tony Zvanček on keyboards, John Rogers on bass, and Jimmy Wilcox on drums. Perlman's and Steve Shank's managerial efforts were rewarded when Blue Oyster Cult were hired for some gigs in Greece in July 1987. After a 9-month layoff, the band returned to activity and Alan Lanier rejoined. The European shows were a success, and the reformed lineup of Bloom, Buck Dharma, Lanier, John Rogers, and drummer Ron Riddle worked well on stage. Blue Oyster Cult returned to the road in 1987 and 1988 with renewed enthusiasm, but without a new album to promote until the release of Imaginos. Gotcha. Okay, so this was a big heaping load of information, dude. Albert recently finished all 3 Imaginos stories. Ooh. Okay, dude. Well, I think that's enough to just start jumping in, dude. So, thank you all for coming by and hanging out. Guys, Blue Oyster Cult, Imaginos. Actually, we need to shout out all the members that worked on this, dude. Da, na, 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 na. Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. We have Eric Bloom on vocals, Albert Bouchard, guitar, percussion vocals, associate producer, Joe Bouchard, keyboards, backing vocals, Alan Lanier, keyboards, Donald Buck Dharma Rosier, guitars, vocals, session musicians, Phil Grant, Tommy Zavanchek, Kenny Aronson, Tommy Price, Joey Sarasano, John Rogers, Jack Secret, aka Tony Geranios. That's hilarious. Shocking You, that's a person's name. Backing vocals on track 3. Daniel Levitin, guitar sounds. Gotcha. Guitar orchestra of the state of Imaginos. What does that mean, dude? Apparently we have extra musicians. Yeah, Joe Satriani, Jack Rigg, Aldo Nova, Tommy Morangiello, Robbie Krieger, Kevin Carlson, Mark Biederman. Well, okay, yep. Well, let's just start jumping into this stuff, dude. Blue Oyster Cult, Imaginos, from 1988. Dude, where were you? I am the one you want. You warned me of. Jump on in, dude. Tony Geranios was Rush's sound man. Oh, nice. All right. I'm the one you warned me of. Okay, dude, quick pause. Wow. Yeah, this is a bit heavier than most other Blue Oyster Cult songs. I like this, though, dude. Dude, I love the tone on the guitar, dude. I hope that's Buck Dharma. You know, it's up in the air now. Not exactly sure who's... Okay, so Joe Satriani plays on track 5. Okay, so... Mark Biederman doing lead guitar on tracks 1 and 3. Okay, so we're listening to track 1 right now. So, Mark Biederman probably doing the solo. Man, this is weird. No Buck Dharma guitar work. Weird. Alright, getting back into it, dude. Still not exactly sure what the lyrics are saying here. Des De Nova, what is that? Alright, backing it up, getting back into this, dude.
In the notebook, notation from the stars, songs by testing over, and frost warnings from the women's farm. Who said just could not ever see his silly eyes and 2 green rings. Obscure sight and fancy dreams. Holy Mass, those 13 fancy dreams.
Okay. Whoa, dudes. I Am the One You Warned Me Of by Blue Oyster Cult. I really liked this song, dude. This was a lot of fun. And the guitar parts were actually a lot of fun, dude. Even though it's not Buck, right? It didn't even feel like Buck. To be quite honest, the guitar sections felt like it was a new personality, dude. It was a different soul breathing life into this instrument, dude. It was sick, though. I loved it. Heavy. Heavy as hell, the song is. Desdenova is probably a play off of Desdemona from Shakespeare. Gotcha. What Shakespeare play is Desdemona from? I haven't read Shakespeare in so long, dude. Imaginos is hermaphroditic. Desdenova is the female persona. Oh, gotcha. You have to go down a Blue Oyster Cult rabbit hole to follow the story. That was jamming. It was a pretty nice track, right? I feel like you also have to read a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft. I say Lovecraft. Lovecraft. Fresh from zones of moisture, and afterwards, the meat. Like what, dude? With spangles on my long-tailed suits, and songs to haunt the one that's saved. Just call me Desdenova. I'm sure to be the lucky one. When destiny assigns wisdom, known to me, the starry wisdom, I'm the one you warned me of. I'm the one who'd never, never lie. The writing in the notebook. Notation from the stars. Songs by Desdenova. And frost warnings from the women's farm. Okay, so women's farm. Is this a farm where women are kept, or where only women work? Whose agent could not ever see his hilly eyes and 2 green rings. Obscured sight and fancy dreams, dude. Yeah, it feels like we're getting some alien imagery here, dude. Some eldritch mind horror as well. Dude, it's very well written. Is this like a story where you, the main character of the story becomes like evil or something? I'm the one you warned me of. Can't trust yourself. Eyes like bottles and hands in my hair. Bottles of blackness, the blacker the spare. I'll sit myself behind that clock and play tunes on its belfry. Behind the clock. Yeah, dude, this is pretty esoteric. Certain Perlman songs on all the other albums relate to the overall story. So I'm attributing this to Sandy Perlman, dude. He's really into H.P. Lovecraft and just giving us a bit of that spookiness, a bit of that mind flayingness, dude. Yo, Manos, welcome. There is an hour and a half documentary on YouTube explaining the story. Oh, okay. Okay, maybe we can check that out at some point, dude. Well, what'd you think of that first track, guys? About to jump into the second one. Les Invisibles. Les Invisibles. How do you pronounce invisibles? Les Invisibles. Les Invisibles. I'm pretty sure it's close to that at least. So, Les Invisibles. Jumping in, dude. Clock, dude.
Seven sleepers, seven sages, seven lives to the seventh heaven. Seven stars. It's a major. Tables turning, and rainmaker. Wow, it's heaven. Visitors. All went to drumming. There's
It's Don Pedro. Wow.
Before I leave your eyes, twin in the mirror, make me stay calm. Lend me adoration. Before I leave your eyes, word in the mirror, waters of amnesia come.
Wow, dude. Blue Oyster Cult. I believe this is Buck singing. I really love his voice. Wow, so it looks like we have to do a little bit of research, dude. Don Pedro, Samidi, and Peter. So many references I don't get, dude. This is so esoteric. We're gonna try and figure it out, dude. Waters of amnesia come, dude. 7-7. I really like this, dude. The synth, I like the reverb on the snare, dude. Yeah, this is bright and shiny, lovely, dude. Great guitar action as well. Jumping back on into this, dude. Invisible. Les Invisibles. Yeah, I'm trying to lose some. Oh, yeah, I'm just here yet another incarnation of Blue Oyster Cult. You're just here for yet another. Gotcha. Totally ignorant of this project, so it's this complicated epic poem. Cool, love the vocals. Yeah, it's like a concept album It's about like aliens and based on H.P. Lovecraft. Is weird, dude. It's kind of weird, but this is what poetry is, you know. It's supposed to make you challenged a little bit, you know? Challenge you. What's the seven though? Uh, seven ladders, seven sleepers, seven sages, seventh heaven, seven stars. So just a lot of seven. One, two, three, four, five. There's five sevens. Um, all right, let's keep the song going. We'll do more research too after. Let's back it up just a little bit.
Before I leave your eyes, twin in the mirror, make me stay calm. Lend me adoration. Before I leave your eyes, word in the mirror, waters of amnesia come. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know the corner beneath the border mountain, rose cross across over there, symbols of the swan, every races in rotation over the magical casement, visions of a parallel world. It's a Don Pedro, to the Don Pedro.
Seven, seven, seven. Yo, dude. Les Invisibles by Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, it's gonna make us work for this, dude. So, song's tight, dude. Loved the synth, loved the fun kind of proggy guitar riffs, dude. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I like Buck's singing. I'm assuming it's Buck, dude, but it can't be too sure. So let's look up who Don Pedro is first. Don Pedro Lake. Don Pedro, Much Ado About Nothing. Okay, maybe another Shakespeare reference, dude. Okay, so I think we figured out Don Pedro. It's another Shakespeare reference. Ursa Major is a constellation. Samedi and Peter, probably more Shakespeare, right? Samedi and Peter in alchemy. Samedi is a reference to Baron Samedi, who in Haitian voodoo is the spirit of the dead who can resurrect people. Peter in alchemy is a reference to saltpeter, also known as saltpeter. I haven't found any recipes for it, but I believe saltpeter was one of the ingredients in the Philosopher's Stone and the related elixir of life, which was said to grant immortality. These are references to how Imaginos was brought back to life and given immortality by Les Invisibles, who came to Earth from another dimension. Okay, so Les Invisibles is actually an entity, the invisible, right? Came to Earth from another dimension. Wow. Okay, dude. Wild stuff here, dude. Like, to be able to put this in your lyrics is brave, right? Like, knowing that people are going to be so interested to seek out this information. Like, what do you mean, dude? Salute the 4 quarters before I leave your eyes, twinned in the mirror. Les mystères come. End me adoration. Yeah, no, dude, I'm not following. World in the mirror, waters of amnesia come. Do you know, do you know? The court of Eve, beneath the polar mountain, rose, cross, and crosser there. What do you mean, rose, cross, and crosser there? Dude, sorry, that doesn't make any sense, dude. Symbols of the swan, aerial races. Probably some of this is like, you know, maybe old ways of speaking that I just don't even get now, dude. Aerial races in rotation over the magical casement, visions of a parallel world. Dance, a Don Pedro, do the Don Pedro. What do you guys think, dude? I always heard the police code version. What is that, dude? All right, well, what did you guys think of this track, dude? Moving on into the next one, in the presence of another world, dude. Jumping on in.
In the presence of another world, you guess the things unguessed. In the fullness of another world, there is no emptiness. In the promise of another world, a dreadful knowledge comes. How even space can modulate and earthly things be done. Your master
Dude, wow. Let's go back. Who's the guitar dude? Mark Biederman did the guitars for this track. And wow, dude. I want to hear more of Mark Biederman, dude. That was insane. The song is scary, dude. In the presence of another world, you guess the things unguessed. There is no emptiness in the promise of another world, dude. A dreadful knowledge comes. Let's finish the song up. Keep it going, dude. A little bit of synth in here. A little bit of like glam metal in here as well in the chorus. With the group vocals, dude. During the chorus. Alright. Getting back into this, dude. In the Presence of Another World by Blue Oyster Cult. Whoa, dude, this song was crazy. Easily the most experimental of the bunch, dude. Some kind of like spoken word, kind of a rap kind of feel to this last section, dude. Your master is a monster, born of a yolkless egg. He has dominion over animals. He walks the world. Entrail diviner. Entrail diviner, dude. And when the stars are right, he locks the door behind the door behind the door. The Milky Way abyss inclines. Dude, this is scary. 7 years of labor for the instruments of time. What does that mean, dude? Instruments of time? Are we in a prison, dude? 7? Referring to 7? Whoa. This song is crazy. Ominous. Not sure what's happening, but your master, he's a monster. He will come on a bridge of paper. What does that mean, dude? Inscribed with 100 names of God. But he can count one more. The curse of life eternal. Written on the door. Okay, so somebody is cursed to live forever. Your master. So who is your master, dude? Maybe we'll get some more information later, dude, who this master is. Perhaps it is a human. Or it could be an alien, dude. Some kind of eldritch horror. Well, what'd you guys think of that one? I really like the heavy metal kind of feel of this one, the glam metal. Dude. So moving into the next track, dude, Del Rio's Song. Del Rio's Song. Oh, and great Mark Biederman guitars on that track too. So I think these are the only lead guitar tracks he is on, 1 and 3. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm assuming Buck Dharma's doing guitar on this track. Jumping on into Del Rio's Song. Dude, I love this. This is very melodic, very poppy, dude. I love the melody. I love the guitar riff. It's very simple, right? A very chill track compared to what we've had before. Very chipper. And I think this one's more grounded in reality, dude. I think this one is probably not like an eldritch horror story, dude. Might be a reflection on the past, like, 20 years or so. For someone in the group, maybe. Maybe Sandy Pearlman, dude. Let's get back into this.
Shut the gates of wall town walls and put it It's a place where you can see lost, lose,
No.
scored to high, never found, relics of jewels, and track jewels. A true ghost stands with
Whoa. Dude, Del Rio's song, a nice pop rock track with a little bit of edginess, dude. Maybe I spoke too soon in saying this isn't part of the story that the previous songs are part of, dude. Oh, my boat left New Orleans in 1829, dude. It's a little bit before the band was formed, dude. Um, dude, that bridge section was a lot of fun. Dude, I'm just a sucker for simple riffs, power chords, dude. Power chords just hit so hard, dude. This song is sick. Definitely my favorite so far, just because of how much it fits into what I already like, dude. Um, Doctrine is off just between the verse and me. It's a place where you can see. Oh wow, he's like between the verse and me, just a little breaking of the fourth wall a little bit. It's a place where you can see lost, last, and luminous, scored to sky yet never found, relics of jewels and ant track tools, a true ghost dance. Relics of jewels. So like, perhaps we're speaking on a certain form of the past. Maybe this is like, you know, similar to how The Shining is. Just like a bunch of ghosts hanging out, dude. This is what my friends all mean. I've lived upon the edge of chance for 20 years of more. 20 years or more. And this is what my friends all mean by Del Rio's song. So, Del Rio, is that a place, dude? No, don't search in my area. It's a city in Texas, okay. That could be what we're referring to. There's also Del Rio, California. So, what do you guys think, dude? Del Rio's song by Blue Oyster Cult, dude. John, after the album, are you taking any requests? I was planning on doing Patreon requests. So, yeah, we'll just save tonight for Patreon requests, dude. Yeah, we'll be back doing requests on Tuesday. That's the free request night, and then Wednesday, I think, or Thursday will be the paid request night. I'll have to figure out a schedule, dude. So we're gonna move on. The siege and investiture of Baron von Frankenstein's castle at Weiseria. The longest title, dude, so far. The siege and investiture of Baron von Frankenstein's castle at Weiseria. And one of the longer songs on the album as well. Not the longest. Blue Oyster Cult actually have a song called Blue Oyster Cult. Tuesday? Tuesday is the free request night. Yes. The siege and investiture of Baron von Frankenstein's castle at Weiseria. Jumping on in, dude. Dude, who's the vocalist here? I don't recognize this voice at all, dude. It might be Albert, dude. It could be Joe. Literally, we have so many people doing vocals here. Dude, the song's pretty cool. Song's pretty cool, dude. We'll go over the lyrics after, but let's get back into this, dude. Dude, totally also forgot to mention Joe Satriani on that solo was epic as hell, dude. Right when I heard it, I knew this was Joe. Nobody else sounds like this, dude. Wow, dude. A large song. Profound ending there, dude. The drums. Impactful. Amazing. Yeah, it's hard to tell who was doing. It was this Albert doing the amazing? Dude, it could have been Tommy Price as well. It's hard to tell, dude, but a large song, dude. Powerful. Alright, let's figure out what the song is about, dude. On the terminal point of the cul-de-sac, patients are dying. The horses are dazed from the glare of the stars. The starry wisdom owned by the Baron. And he's got the cure. A drug by the name of World Without End. Come take this, World Without End. You'll be inventor, invention, letter, earth, wind. Rhymed like the real, and real as the rhyme. Imagine this Baron, inventor of rhymes. Imagine he was me and I was called Frankenstein. So, imagine he was you. Okay, so you're talking about the Baron, but you are the Baron, and I was called Frankenstein. So this is Baron von Frankenstein. The song is called The Siege and Investiture of Baron von Frankenstein's Castle at Wyceria. Carpe diem, yes, yes. Carpe diem equals seize the day, yes, indeed. I learned that when I was very young. From the glare of the stars, dude. Yeah, I'm imagining this Frankenstein is a very powerful person, dude. Patients are dying. The horses are dazed from the glare of the stars, the starry wisdom. So this is just straight up the book Frankenstein, dude. I haven't read it, dude, by Mary Shelley. For those like me who had to look it up. Oh, gotcha. Carpe diem, Latin for seize the day. Interesting. Yes, Frankenstein giving his patients a world without end, dude. And a life after death. All right. Well, what you guys think of this one? Epic drums, epic guitars, dude. Amazing stuff from Joe. Moving into the next track, guys. Astronomy.
The clock strikes 12 and moondrops burst out at you from their hiding place. Like acid and oil on a madman's face, reason tends to fly away. Like lesser birds on the forewinds, like silver scrapes in May. Now the sands become a crust, and most of you have gone away. Come Susie dear, let's take a walk just out there upon the beach. I know you'll soon be married, and you'll want to know where wind comes from. Well, it's never said at all on the map that Carrie reads. Behind the clock back there, you know, at the Four Winds Bar. Four doors at the Four Winds Bar, two doors locked and windows barred.
Okay, quick pause. I like this one, dude. The palm muted guitar, giving a bit of tension building, dude. Sticking with a little bit of that mysterious feeling, dude. References to clocks again. Yeah, we'll read the lyrics after. But getting back into it, dude.
Two doors locked and windows barred. One door's left to take you in, the other one just mirrors it. Hellish glare and inference crisis and the origin of storms. Just a place to hopelessly encounter time that came near. Call me distant over the eternal night. These gravely digs of mine will surely prove a sight. And don't forget my dog, fixed and consequent.
A star. Astronomy by Blue Oyster Cult, dude. Another profound, large song, dude. No idea what the lyrics are saying. It seems to be more in line with, the previous H.P. Lovecraft inspired songs, dude. I love the guitar work from Buck in this. I actually don't know if it was Buck on this one. It's hard to tell. So, what track was this one? 6. I'm assuming it's Buck, dude. Clock strikes 12 and moondrops burst out at you from their hiding place, like acid and oil on a madman's face. What are you talking about, dude? His reason tends to fly away like lesser birds on the four winds, like silver scrapes in May, and now the sands become a crust. Most of you have gone away. Come, Susie dear, let's take a walk. Just out there upon the beach. I know you'll soon be married. And you want to know where winds come from. What? Dude, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Where do winds come from? Nobody ever asks that, dude. Well, it's never said at all on the map that Carrie reads behind the clock back there, at the Four Winds Bar. There's a map behind a clock at the Four Winds Bar. Gotcha. It's feeling a little bit more like Twin Peaks, dude. Four winds at the Four Winds Bar. Two doors barred and windows barred. One door to let to take you in. Are those the actual lyrics? One door to let to take you in. The other one just mirrors it. Hellish glare and interference. The other one's a duplicate. The queenly flux. Eternal light. Yeah, we're stuck in a fever dream, dudes. This is a never-ending torture. We can't get out. We have no idea, dude. It's Kafka-esque, dude. Yes, the light that never, never warms. Oh, the light that never, never warms. So it's a light that's not comforting. Gotcha. The clock strikes 12. The moondrops burst out at you from their hiding place. Miss Carrie, Nurse, and Susie Deer would find themselves out at Four Winds Bar. It's the nexus of the crisis and the origin of storms. Just the place to hopelessly encounter time. And then came me. Call me Desdenova, eternal light. These gravely digs of mine will surely prove a sight. These gravely digs of mine? And don't forget my dog. Fixed and consequent. What? Astronomy. A star. If anybody has any words to say about that song, about the lyrics, dude, feel free. Apparently there's a documentary on the story of this album, so I feel like we have to watch that at some point in order to really understand all of this stuff. All right, moving on into the next track, dude. Magna of Illusion. So Robbie Krieger is doing lead guitar on this track and the next one. So Robbie Krieger, dudes. Jumping on into Magna of Illusion.
Went mad more than once, and until this day, in dreams at least, a lighthouse at Los Cristobal, squatted huge tilts upon the strand where Granddad's house was built. And having stood the test of time, the starry gale, the bloody tide, Granddad's house still gaped with hooks and filled with books, could stand no more until a certain prophecy once read, now stood before the world fulfilled. Now of these books in Granddad's key, some of them were new, but mostly they were old. And the oldest was a scroll, a prophecy that read, when the riddle began. The story
Okay, dude. Wow, another kind of heavy one, dude. Heavy drums, heavy guitars. Yep, still keeping in line, dude. No idea what we're talking about. But music's cool. All right, jumping back on in, dude. Magna of Illusion.
August the 1st, 1892, in the guise of destiny, Granddad took Cornwall. I'm the captain of a ship. My ship is charmed and called Plutonia. Storms on land, storms at sea. 1892 and 93, when Granddad sailed from Mexico. path to the sun. And when the sun too falls, as it always does, some of them would be lost, and some would sail back home. It was no star, but a magna of illusion. I mean by that, the mirror found in the chamber of jade, grown like a seed, deep within the ground. The mirror found by one bird, so on and off again, he sailed the Europe's rim, all on, up on, until his time had come. Through tears and smiles, the last domain, through rods of broken crystal, on and off again, until his time had come, late to the story that had been. But early to the riddle not yet begun. August the 1st, 1893, John ship Victoria sailed like a ray in the Cornwall, and none too soon it seems.
That night, the captain's granddaughter would celebrate her birthday,
I've come a long way
said the captain.
from Lost Christabel this night, accompanied by my dog, Premier, to blast your rafters with my surprise. Granddaughter, it's a foreign mirror, taken from the jungle by clouds of land.
Whoa, dude.
When the tables collapse and floors are filled and the party's over, it's all over. See dogs and rockers will dwell on doom. I've walked the stuff of ground. What seems to be is not behind closed eyes. Realize no sight. My granddaughter proves a surprise. More light than sun, more dark than night, and more snare than
All right, dude. Magna of Illusion by Blue Oyster Cult. So yeah, I'm not even gonna bother reading the lyrics because it's just gonna be me saying nonsense for like 10 minutes, dude. Yeah, the song was tight. I'm just feeling a disconnect because I can't relate to the lyrics. I have no idea what is being sung, dude. I have no idea the story. So all I can really say is the music is cool. This wasn't my favorite song music-wise. Like we didn't have an amazing like solo or anything. Like we had little snippets, dude. We had a little spoken word section to kind of break it up and give us something new, dude. But still, it's lost on me the meaning. So we're just gonna eventually watch the documentary. But yeah, I feel like this song actually blended in to some of the other ones. You know, I didn't really feel like this one stood out too much amongst what we have listened to already. So, moving on to the next one, Blue Oyster Cult by Blue Oyster Cult, dude. Ooh, okay, what the heck?
I am becalmed in virtue,
lost to nothing on a bay of dreams. Warm weather and a holocaust. The tears of God flow as I bleed. Left to die, but two good friends abandoned me and put to sleep on a shore where oyster beds seem plush as down and ripe enough for the Luxor dream. Recall the dream of Luxor, how fluids will arrive. As if I call or schedule, resume through the morning time, where entry is by seaweed gate. I plan the plan of dreams, to lose oneself in rebirth. All that is and all that seems. So, ladies, fish and gentlemen, here's my angle dream. See me in the blue sky back and meet me by the sea. The oyster boys are swimming now to claim me back from the dead. Like creatures back from vertigo, they fear to fall but haven't fell. Will reclaim tries and try again. The oyster boys are swimming now, hear 'em chatter around the tide of the lost and language lost. Hear 'em chatter around the tide. We understand, we understand, we understand. And so do I. We understand, we understand. But fight is real and so am I. So, ladies, fish and gentlemen, here's my angle dream. See me in the blue sky back and meet me by the sea. The entry to Los Vestibule opens on the bay. An instant shaping mercury, lost and entertained. An instant as an eyelash caught on the tide. Imaginos below the space, besides. The oyster boys are swimming now. One deal is what we made. The forest keys and whirlwind cold. Green keys too and keys of gold. And even rocks that won't explode when the skies become a scroll. Having lost its interest,
Mm. Wow, dude. Blue Oyster Cult by Blue Oyster Cult, dude. Really setting the foundation of what they're all about, right? Like just giving us the esoteric poem, but sprinkling in some sea-based, sea-themed things. Do we have seaweed? Ladies, fish, and gentlemen. Dude, their sense of humor is popping out. Here's my angled dream. The oyster boys are swimming now. So Toondog gave us a little abbreviation, a little short version of the story. Imaginos doesn't know who he is, but is driven to sail to Mexico. The aliens interfere and he is drowned and shipwrecked. But he is immortal and he finds his identity, goes to Mexico, gets an evil mirror, takes it to England where its evil influences the world wars. Wow. When you put it really clear like that for me, dude, it makes it easy to understand. Thank you. Wow. That's actually really cool. I like that a lot. Like an alternate history kind of deal. So yes, we are going way back in time, dude. 1892. Okay, so now things are starting to come together story-wise, dude. It's kind of like watching a movie, right? You're not going to get everything the first time you watch it. You're going to have to go back and re-listen to this album, reread the lyrics, dude. Blue Oyster Cult. The song's very catchy. Yeah, I enjoyed this one very much. The ending, dude. The nice bits of synth. Blue Oyster Cult. Like, this sounds like a really cool movie, dude. Like, I would watch this movie. Isn't it always like that with aliens and evil mirrors? What is that a reference to, dude? I can't think of aliens and mirrors. Black Mirror? The studio mixed up the chronological order of the songs. Okay. You know, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. Like, you know, if you watch Quentin Tarantino movies, the scenes are, out of order as well, and sometimes it can enhance you know, the whole experience. Blue Oyster Cult. Just a bad joke on the plot. Gotcha. It would be a fantastic joke if we had like a reference of aliens and mirrors, dude, doing stuff. I'm sure there's some. Dude. Humans are pretty creative. Yeah, aliens always want the evil mirrors first, but no. Our eldritch horror Imaginos, dude. I like this. You know, it's a mix of aliens, eldritch beings. I can't tell what Imaginos is exactly, though. Is he a demon? Blue Oyster Cult. Wow. Okay, well, that was the longest song on this record, dude, by far. And we're actually moving into the last song on the album, dude. Imaginos. So going back to the wiki here, this is track 9. Blue Oyster Cult. Didn't I read something about the last track of this song, dude? Blue Oyster Cult. Share with me any other info. You guys know. We're just gonna jump on into it, dude. Imaginos by Blue Oyster Cult. Oyster boys are Lovecraftian amphibian subhumans who save Imaginos. Oyster boys. You know, that's probably what I'm going to call the band from now on, dude. At least sometimes. The Oyster Boys. Okay, so I didn't say this at the beginning, but the only experience I have anything H.P. Lovecraft inspired is the video game Bloodborne, which it's basically a Lovecraft story, but it's kind of retold in a certain different way. There's werewolves involved as well. So I've not actually read any actual H.P. Lovecraft material. Keep saying Lovecraft. Lovecraft. Let's just jump on into Imaginos too. Quick pause, dude. This one's a lot of fun. I like the upbeat nature, dude. I like the vocals, dude. The group vocals on this album have been so much fun. Just giving us so much, dude. Like, a lot of these songs haven't sounded like Blue Oyster Cult, and yet have felt like an enhancement of their sound at the same time. It's so interesting, like an interesting mix of their old style plus some new things they're trying as well. Imaginos. Okay, backing it up. Getting back into this, dude. Okay. Saxophone? Wow, dude. And that's it. Imaginos. Buzzardo was actually Imaginos in disguise. What, dude? This. So I was probably right with Del Rio, Texas, being the location mentioned in the song Del Rio. Wow. This was such a fun song. I loved this one, dude. Was not expecting a saxophone. We didn't have a saxophone listed in the people. Dude. Guitar sounds, vocals, bass, keyboards, drums. Yeah, dude. Literally no one credited with. Okay, it might have. No, well, these are guitar orchestras. Who? We'll never know. We'll never know. It's somebody, right? Imaginos. Imaginos. Oyster Boy. Oh, so many songs of theirs are in tie-in to the overall story, and you would not know unless you looked real hard. I didn't know all this until the internet came about. Wow, right? Okay, so that's really cool, though. Like, even old fans are still learning about, some of their old favorite songs. Learning that there's more depth to it. Dude, that's really cool. And people are still, like, talking about it and use the internet to discuss this stuff. So, while this could be really hard for some people to get into because they just can't relate to the lyrics, right? Probably had a lot of, like, tough first experiences with this album for some people. But yeah, after listening to Blue Oyster Cult for at least a year now, it's been a little over a year now. This is finally starting to make a lot more sense, dude, who the Blue Oyster Cult are, dude, who the Oyster Boys are. A lot of credits left out, but there is a record online somewhere. Gotcha, yep. Somewhere it exists. It should be on Wikipedia. But 'tis not, dude. So, order-wise, this one was probably before we got to Del Rio, maybe? In terms of song order, right? Imaginos. That's why I held this off for last. Because why exactly? Sorry, I missed some context there. Well, guys, also, Toon Dog, what's that documentary? You said there's a documentary about this. I wanted to give that a look, see at some point. Don't know if we'll be able to fit it in tonight. I wanted to try, though, but we do have some songs I wanted to make sure we finish one from everybody who hasn't had a Patreon request done. So, last final thoughts on Blue Oyster Cult Imaginos, dude. Amazing album. So many parts of this album were a lot of fun. We had a great diversity in terms of energy. We had some soft songs, some slow songs, some heavy as hell songs, some pop rock songs, dude. A lot of fun. In those ones, I just love power chords, dude. Power chords are my jam, right? Punk musician and growing up, dude. That's all we knew. A lot of cool guitar parts, dude, from every guitarist involved. I was skeptical at first, but dude, Robbie Krieger and Mark Biederman and everybody else involved. I don't know where we heard you, dude. Joe Satriani appeared on track number 5, which was epic as hell. Yeah, overall, I was a little shocked by the story because it was a lot at first, dude. And I even skipped a song, didn't I? I was like, because I'm just not going to understand it. Magna of Illusion, I think, is the one I skipped. Imaginos. Imaginos. So real quick, let's mute that real quick. Go back. Couple songs. Magna of Illusion. Cornwall and the harbor where witches went mad more than once, and until this day, in dreams at last, the lighthouse at lost Christabel, squat and hugely tilts, upon the strand where Grandad's house was built, and having stood the test of time, the starry gale, the bloody tide, Grandad's house, though gaped with hooks, and filled with books, could stand no more until a certain prophecy, once read, now stood, before the world fulfilled. Now, of these books in Grandad's keep, some of them were new, but mostly they were old. So is this Imaginos' Grandad? Who are we talking about here, dude? And how did Frankenstein fit in? Was Frankenstein a real dude? Was Frankenstein a real dude? Hold on. Imaginos. Was Frankenstein real? Frankenstein was never a real person. Gotcha. Mary Shelley created him. Understand. Gotcha. Oh, Imaginos. Dude, I had no idea this book was that old, dude. Early 1800s? Dang, dude. Gotta read that sometime. Well. Yep, his granddad gotcha. When the riddle begins, the story will end. August the 1st, 1892. And in the guise of destiny, Granddad quit Cornwall. I'm a captain of a ship. My ship is charmed and called Plutonia. Stories on land, storms at sea, between 1892 and 93, when Granddad sailed for Mexico. Okay, so Granddad's telling him about a trip to Mexico. He goes on this trip with him, right? Ships charmed and ordinary sailed the glide path to the sun, and when the sun proved false, as it always does, some of them would be lost, and some would sail back home. It was no star, but a magna of illusion. I mean by that, the mirror found, in the chamber of jade grown like a seed. Okay, so these aliens are the ones that are giving them a false sun to follow, dude? That's crazy. Yeah, this would make a great movie, dude. Deep within the ground, the mirror found by one man. So on and off again he sailed the Europe's rim. Not even single lyrics, dude. On and off and on, until his time had come. Through tears and smiles the last domain, the rods of broken crystal on and off again, until his time had come. Late to the story that had been, but early to the riddle not yet begun. What is the riddle, dude? That's what I'm wondering. August the 1st, 1893, the charmed ship Plutonia sailed like a ray into Cornwall, and none too soon, it seems. Cornwall is England, right? That night the captain's granddaughter would celebrate her birthday. I've come a long way, said the captain, from lost Christabel this night, accompanied by my dog Familiar, to blast your rafters with my surprise. Granddaughter, it's a foreign mirror, taken from the jungle by crime. She's, yeah, being the progressive sort, as the children usually are, right? Taken from the jungle by crime. Stories on land, storms at sea. When Granddad sailed for Mexico, when tables collapse and floors have filled and the party's over, it's all over. Sea dogs and rockers will dwell on doom. I've warped the stuff of ground. What seems to be is not. Behind closed eyes. Realize your sight. Mine, granddaughter, proves a surprise. More light than sun, more dark than night, then more a snare than lust. I'm just getting lots of Shakespeare in this, dude. Lots of Shakespeare. Still not quite sure exactly what's being said. Need to have like maybe a one-for-one translation. Whoops. All right, dudes. Well, share with me your thoughts on this whole album. Which song was your favorite, dude? Oh, there's the documentary. Sure, thank you. Let's see how long this is going to be. An hour and 40. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we might be able to fit this in at some point, because I really want to give this a watch, at least for my own sake, you know? So interesting. What is this exactly? Hold on. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow.
It was the only Perlmanism that stuck.
Began to be commissioned mainly in France for public performance.
Gotcha. Okay, dude. Okay, so, wow, we talked about a lot of other songs besides this album, right? Okay, well, thanks for sharing this, dude. I want to try and get this reacted to soon, so thank you, dude. We're gonna try and fit it into some kind of exploratory time, you know what I mean? Like, extra time that we have for the month. So again, thank you so much, Toon Dog, for giving us this album to listen to. A big part of Blue Oyster Cult's history right here, dude. So much Imaginos info in this one album. And Sandy Pearlman is mostly to thank for the lyrics, dude, the depth. But thanks to the band for making it come to life. Dude, vibrant bass, vibrant guitars. Eric and Buck's vocals, dude. I think we also had Joe and Albert doing some vocals as well. Also some guest vocals. Not sure who those might be, but dude, I hope you liked it. I did like it indeed. Yeah, like, really the only issue I had was this one song. I was just getting a little fatigued by the lack of understanding. But then you came along with that concise, you know, little abbreviation of the info, dude, and it really helped me along. It helped me appreciate what's actually being said, and now that I know the story, dude, I can, you know, go into more Blue Oyster Cult with some more appreciation. So I'm really, really happy we got to listen to this, dude. The songs were tight as well. Like, yeah, dude, there's honestly no filler in this. Well, there was one song that really kind of blended. I think it might have been Magna of Illusion. No, I think it actually was Magna of Illusion that I wasn't like too impressed by music or instrumentally, but that's only because like it kind of blended for me into the rest of the songs. But otherwise, it's a great song for info of Imaginos, dude. So it has its importance, you know. Where it lacks, it has to make up for, in my eyes, in some other fashion, and I feel like it did with the lyrics. And I'm totally into this type of storytelling, dude. Like, you know, breaking it up, splitting it up in between different albums. People have a hard time figuring it out, dude. It's like a riddle. Maybe that is the riddle, dude. Wow. What do you guys think? Well, Toon Dog, appreciate you, dude. Thank you for giving me the album. Monos talking BOC? Yup. Yep. the Imaginos album, dude. All right, well, we're going to move on into some Patreon requests. Again, everybody give it up for Toon Dog for requesting this album, dude. Big shout out to you, and thanks for giving me that documentary. We're going to check that out at some point. Bam, bam, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, share with me any other information you guys got. I really, really appreciate the braveness that it took. The bravery. Braveness? The bravery it took to write this, right? Like, you're alienating some people by making something that most people just won't get, right? It's easy to write a song that's relatable right off the bat, like, I love apple pie. Nobody can speculate about that, right? All right, so let's make sure mark this one as done. Easy to why this failed commercially. Yeah, that's really sad though, dude. Like, you know, these are artists doing their thing, and yeah, I feel like that might have contributed to why it didn't do the hottest. Critical reception. Most people like it. It's, 4 out of 5 stars. Rolling Stone gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal gave it a 6 out of 10. Bam, bam, wow. Wow, wow. So I think the only setback people have with really lifting this album up is the fact that there's so many extra people on this album, and it wasn't really the original group of Blue Oyster Cult. It's more of a brainchild of original drummer Albert Bouchard and longtime producer and lyricist Sandy Pearlman. A professional Italian reviewer describes the Blue Oyster Cult's name on the cover as only a commercial decoy for an Albert Bouchard solo album. Dang, dude. No punches being pulled. Dang. I thought it sounded great, dude. Even though it is kind of a weird mix of musicians here, it's just a lot of fun still. Like, it has their quirky essence, it has their brave storytelling, and, dude, just a lot of fun. You never know what to expect, dude. Sometimes you'll have broken word sections coming up. Awesome stuff. So, let me know any extra album information, guys. Yo, going over to twitch.tv/JohnSlopReacts and leave a follow if you want to catch all these live streams where we record all these reactions, dude. And going over to patreon.com/JohnSlop to submit your favorite songs for me to listen to. And you can help support the channel as well. Appreciate ya.